Hey there and welcome. Today we're going to talk about adding fractions with the same sign, and that sign today is positive. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first part of our lesson is identifying the parts of a fraction. There's three main parts that we need to know. And the first part is this n, and this n stands for numerator. And that just means the top of the fraction or the part. This line in the middle where we usually say over, so we have n over d, is the division symbol. Right, so when we're dealing with fractions, we're really dealing with division. Crazy, right? So we have the numerator on top, we have the division bar, and underneath that, where this d is the denominator. And that also stands for the whole. So we have the part over the whole. What this means in easy terms is if you think about a pizza, if your pizza is 8 slices, then the whole of the pizza would be 8. Our denominator for this pizza would be 8 because that's how many slices it takes to make it whole. If you eat 2 of those slices, then you say you can have 2 over 8 parts of the pizza, or 2 eighths. Now, we would also reduce that, simplify it down to a fourth. But for the cases of just this part, 2 over 8 works. So that's basically the parts of a fraction. So let's start using it. I'm going to see if we can hopefully get this whole thing to fit. All right. So here we have a problem. 6 over 9 plus 2 over 4. And a really important rule when we're adding fractions together is that the denominators need to be the same. It's called a common denominator. And right now, 9 and 4 are not the same. So we need to do some work to make them be the same. The way we need to do that is to make a list of multiples for both of these numbers and see which ones they have in common. So I'm going to do 4 first just because it's smaller. And when I say multiples, I mean numbers that 4 goes into. So we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, and 40. And I'm going to start with this list. If I need more, I'll add more. But here's a hint. I'm not going to need more. Next, I'm going to make my multiples of 9. So I have 9, 18, 27, 36. And I'm going to stop here because, let me grab a highlighter real quick. Because I've got 36 here and 36 here. So they both have 36 as common multiples. You might be thinking, I could have just taken 9 and multiplied it by the other denominator and saved myself some time. And you're right, you absolutely could. And that will work every single time. But it's not always the best way to do it. Sometimes there's smaller ones that you can work with. But since we found this 36 as our common denominator, we're going to work to get there. So if we take this 6/9 and we need to get that 9 to turn into a 36, the only way to do that is to multiply it by 4, which we did right here. Now, there's a rule in math that says that we need to keep things balanced. So if I multiply the denominator by 9, I have to multiply, if I multiply the denominator by 4, then I have to multiply the numerator by 4 as well. The reason is because if I just do 4 divided by 4, that just gives me 1. So I'm really just multiplying this problem by a fancy version of 1 to manipulate this problem to make it easier to work with. So I'm going to multiply this straight across. So I'm going to say I don't know where I'm at right now. I'm going to say 6 times 4, which is 24, and then 9 times 4, which is 36. So if I take 6/9 and multiply it by 4 over 4, I get 24 over 36. And that's just the first part. We need to do it again for the second part. So this time, our denominator is 4. I can't multiply this by 4 to get 36, because remember 36 is that denominator that we're shooting for. The only way to multiply 4 by a number to get 36 is if that number is 9. So again, I need to multiply the bottom by 9 and the top by 9 to keep it balanced. So multiplying straight across, 2 times 9 is 18, and then 4 times 9 is 36. So 2/4 times 9/9 turns into 1836. And we can see that over here in the green. So now that we have that common denominator, our whole is the same, we can add the parts together. And so we can do 18 plus 24. When we combine those two numbers together, we get 42 over 36. When we add our fractions, the whole stays the same. We don't add those two numbers together. That's why we need them to be the same when we start with. So now we need to look at if we can simplify. So we have 42 over 36, and we absolutely can make these smaller numbers. When we say simplify or reduce, what we're really asking is there any number that we can take both of these numbers by and divide to make it smaller? So I want you to take a moment and think of a number that you can divide these both by. Now, a really easy number to determine that we can divide by is 2, because both 42 and 36 are even numbers. So I can easily divide this both by 2, right? Because again, whatever we do to the top, we have to do to the bottom. And we can get our answer that way. And so we can say that 42 divided by 2 is going to give me 21. And 36 divided by 2 is going to give me 18. And then I have to ask myself again, is this as small as it goes? Are there any other numbers that divide into both 21 and 18? And as it turns out, there is. I can divide both of these numbers by 3 and make these numbers even smaller. I cannot draw arrows today, my goodness. So 21 divided by 3 gives me 7, and 18 divided by 3 gives me 6. And so this turns into my final answer. 7 is a prime number, so it's not going to go any smaller. And 7 doesn't go into 6, so I can't reduce that farther. So this turns into my final answer. Now, some of you might have realized that 42 over 36 both have 6 in common that we could have divided by. And you're absolutely right. You could have divided by 6 right at the beginning and just gone straight to that 7 over 6. Either path works. I didn't personally see that 6 in common at first because I noticed they were both even. So I divided by 2. I'm going to tell you to leave your answer as an improper fraction instead of a mixed number. It's just more accurate and it's less work. But if you really, really need to know how to go from 7/6 to a mixed number, all you need to do is figure out how many times 6 goes into the numerator, which is 1 whole time, and then how much is left over. So 6 times 1 is 6. To get from 6 to 7, we just have 1, and then we leave that denominator there. But again, 7 over 6 is the answer that we would prefer that you keep. Hopefully that helps, and until next time, I'll see you later. Love you, bye!